Hey, I'm assuming I'm live. Hi, everybody. I am here to fulfill a promise because last week I did a live stream with my library, step into my library, showing you like my witchy books, my favorite ones. And first of all, let me make sure I've got it. Okay, yeah. And I said that I would come back this week on Wednesday and do another live stream and another step into my library and talk about my herbal books. But I want to tell you, um, see, there's nobody here yet, so I can bitch. Here we go. I'm going to be bitching. But first of all, let me do a thing. All right. So here's my bitch. I have been talking. I had a couple readings back to back today. One was an hour and a half, one was an hour. And I went from that, took a little break, Skyped with my niece, and saw my new great nephew for a while. And then had a little bit of dinner, then went into a 2 hour Hogwarts meeting where we wrestled with technology the whole time because we're doing Hogwarts virtually in June. And this will be our first time. And we've got a lot of really skilled people that work for universities and tech companies and stuff, and they've got all kinds of crazy skills. But we're trying to figure out everything. So, wrestling with tech. And when I do readings for people, I video record it and I upload it to my YouTube channel as a private video, and then I share a link. Now, YouTube, don't put me in jail for saying this, but here's one of the ways that YouTube sucks. When I am in my YouTube studio and I have uploaded a video and set it as private, in the editing page, there's a little window to the side that has that highlighted link. Here is the link to share to this private video. So I copied that, I shared it with my client. And she couldn't go there. She tried to use the link. It said, that video is private. So I went to second place, which is in the video list screen. And if I click the three little dots, it says, here is a shareable link to this private video. So I click on that. It copies the link to my clipboard. I send it to her. It doesn't fucking work. It says that the video is private. Yes, I know it's private. I'm sharing this private link that you're giving me to share. So I spent some time knocking through help. And by the way, I've done this with many clients. I shared this private link. They go and they watch the video. So I finally thought, okay, I'm going to email it. So I copied and pasted and emailed it to her. And she got there, and it still wasn't working. So then I went looking around, and in the edit screen, there's all the things. There's the little box that says, here's the link to share. And then over in the corner where the three little dots are, I went and clicked on those. That's where there's an invitation for you to send. So I clicked on that. It said send, it opens a box, put the email addresses of the people that you want to invite. I did that. It finally got her to the video, which she then cannot download because it's private. So I had to set it to unlisted, and she downloaded the video, but said that it brought up a message saying that it's only available for 30 days. Now, whether that means that, I told her once you download it to your computer, it's on your computer, that you're not linking to YouTube, you're downloading it to your computer. So I'm assuming it means that the link that I sent her is only good for 30 days, but I don't know that. I don't know. Hi, Butterfly Magic with hot tea. Yes, I did say library. So good. Somebody's here. I'm done bitching. I'm ready to share. So let's click the overhead cam and take a look. I got a bunch. I have a bunch. I'm trying to kind of put them in some sort of maybe order And I think I might have to shut my little ring light off because I don't like the glare. Maybe. That worked kind of, maybe, sort of. That's bad. Oh, what a wonderful thing it is when we're technology is held together with chewing gum and paper clips. Okay, so I'm going to start with this. And back in the 80s, mid to late 80s, there was a fabulous place in a little town way out in the country from me. But there was this house, this mansion of some very wealthy people that were like some of the first people to come and settle in Ohio and build this. It was like the first in-ground swimming pool in the state or something like that. Um, so there was this mansion, and on the back of it, and I mean these fabulous buildings, like huge big barns. It was big property, but on the back of this beautiful mansion was like this cinder block cube that was added, and in that addition was a place called the Survival Center. Now I'm going to take a look real quick here because I wonder if they are still in business. They had moved to Washington State. Yes, they are still in business. So it is survivalcenter.com. It's telling me the website's not secure. It's very rudimentary and a very old website. Um, and this place was, you'd walk in and there was a little library out front, a little ante room. And then there was the big back room, and they had organic food and groceries. They had, free range chicken and meats and things you could buy, and frozen stuff and vegetables and everything. And they had this huge, long fixture in on the one side, and one whole side of this thing was culinary herbs. The other whole side was medicinal herbs. And I mean, I bought Chinese ephedra there. I bought ma huang there, and I'll tell you what happened when I made it into a tea. Oop, there's a bug. There's a bug. There's no longer a bug. Sorry. Um, but I made a tea out of this Chinese ephedra because I took Sudafed all the time for allergies. And I took one sip of it. And, here's me, dummy. I'm just figuring, just make a tea. It's an herb. Took a sip of it. It sucked every bit of moisture out of my mouth. Dry as a bone. And then I was speeding my ass off for the rest of the night, just like, woo, speeding, seriously speeding. So, yeah, that was my experience with Ma Huang, which you cannot get anywhere anymore. So, anyway, they had the best herbal selection, and they had some really good books too. And this, I believe, was the first one that I bought, the Herb book by John Lust. There are little illustrations, which with each of the entries, many, 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 many entries, like everything you've ever heard of is in here. For the most part, I have found a lot of things that I think are probably not indigenous to the U.S. that are not listed in here, but you will get the Latin name under. There's like the colloquial name wormwood, the Latin name Artemisia absinthium, the common name, the medicinal parts, the description, the properties and uses. So it's a great listing. And then, of course, in the beginning, they also have how to use the book, a little history of herbalism, leaf and flower, a little index here on how to learn some terminology about the leaves, what that all means, the scientific names of plants, the glossary of botanical terms, herb gardens, herb dealers listed, different ways to prepare, and different herbal treatments, a glossary of medicinal effects. So you've got, whether something is an alterative or an anesthetic or an anodyne or a detergent or a digestive or whatever, and then it lists all the numbers, so you can look up that way. It lists all the herbs by conditions and organs and what they treat. And then, let's see, in the back, we have an alphabetical list of the herbs. There's a list by other names. And this section is herbal mixtures and formulas. And I have to say, I don't think I ever went into this part of the book. I just used it as a list and to start reading and learning about herbs. This I look at as more of a dictionary than an actual herbal because I've never really used it for that. This was the next one I got, and I still love this book, Natural Healing with Herbs by Humbart Santillo. Um, and let me see. Yep, Survival Center, Newton Falls Road. Just looking at copyright here. This is 1984, 85, 87, 88, and 89 is the copyright here. So we have the same kind of thing. His sections on diagnosis and treatment kind of follow the Chinese um, way with excess, hot, cold, excess, deficient, and analyzing symptoms, internal and external disease, herbal therapies and their application, blood purification, carminative, deobstruent, all these kind of things, diaphoresis, heat dispelling, purgation, all these kind of things. And then he goes into the listing. So there's internal methods, external methods, talking about poultices and oils and just different, horses for courses, different therapies for different conditions. The course of herbal therapy, herbal properties. So he's going to give the list here again about what things do. And then we have the lists of the herbs themselves. So kind of like the other book, we've got the common name, we've got the Latin name, we've got the part used, the properties, the body parts affected, preparation and dosage, indicated usages for different conditions, and then there are notes below. What I love, love, love about this book is this section right here. This appeals to my Virgo brain, my Mercury in Virgo. So you have a list of all the herbs, you have a list of all the properties, and then the big dots are this herb has that as a primary property, and then you've got little dots. So if it's kind of a side property of this herb, it'll be one of the little dots. So you can say, I need an emmenagogue, and you look up that property, and you see aloe vera is a kind of a low-grade emmenagogue. You see, hard to see, kind of angelica and black cohosh and black haw and blessed thistle and blue cohosh. And so you can really look by property, and I love the visuals. So we have 4 different pages, 4 or 5, 4 different pages going through the whole list of herbs and their properties. And then we have formulations in the back. So he talks about diet and cleansing and purification diets and how to do all these different kinds of things. There's hydrotherapy, homeopathy, comprehensive therapies for common ailments. And so you can look up by condition there and by ailment. And that's pretty much a standard for herbals that are kind of comprehensive, that have a big list of herbs. And I will tell you, I might go kind of jamming through this a little bit because I'm nearly talked out today. I have talked all day long. Hi, Michelle. Hello, everyone. I have to finish cleaning up the kitchen. Yay. Okay. Come back when you can, darling. Oh, I see Butterfly. The new edition. This is the 5th edition. So whatever the newest one is, I think it might be new. I have passed on a couple editions of this and gotten newer ones. So this one's 2010. I'm going to go past, though, to this. Maybe I'll save him for last because he's my favorite. I do have a couple of Susan Weed books. I have one, the Herbal for the Childbearing Year, that I have passed on. And I did really love that book. And she does have a lot of good information, but I have a lot of conflict about her personally. I met her once. I found her to be very off-putting and really rude. And I also witnessed a little bit of high priestess syndrome, what I interpreted as high priestess syndrome going on, and I've since read some things that are extremely off-putting, and I won't go into them. You can certainly look it up and find out what the deal is. But while she does have good information, good basic information, personally, I'm not a fan of hers anymore. So I will probably be passing these along. Healing Wise, menopausal years, we're going to put those up there. Rosemary Gladstar. I just got this one in the last several years. I really love her. I love her a lot. I love her vibe. She's got really great videos. This is Herbal Recipes for Vibrant Health. So, ecological herbalism, prescription for life, taming stress and anxiety, home remedies for everyday ailments, recipes for radiant beauty for children, for women, for men, for elders. And it's a beautiful book. It's got a lot of great photographs and a lot of really excellent information, excellent knowledge. This is a wise woman that I would highly recommend. I like her an awful lot. I want to get more of her books to add to my collection. I'm going to go with, wait, there's one missing here. Hold up. I'll be back. That one. This was maybe, these three were bought from the Survival Center, and I can't really remember which one came first, but this one was really important. Why? Because of the photographs. I want you to check this out. It's one thing to look at drawings. So Humbart Santillo's book has no illustrations or photographs or anything of any type. We have, in the herb book, we've got drawings. So take a look at that drawing, and it is descriptive, and it's a line drawing. It's kind of difficult to tell certain things. You can certainly see the shape of leaves. You can certainly see the structure of the plant and the shape of flowers and everything. But how much better is this? Looky there. We've got photographs of everything, and this is the sole reason that I bought this book, although the information in it is very good, valid herbal information, but just the ability to really see the plant. Now, these days, there's a thing called PlantNet, which is an app you put on your phone. You can take pictures of plants. There's also another, looking for my phone, because there's another one that I just put on my phone. So hold up here. Come on. It's called iNaturalist. And you can take pictures of plants, animals, mushrooms, stuff like that. You can take pictures of anything in nature and upload it. And the longer these apps are around, the better they get, because people are taking photographs. When they positively identify something, that data goes back into the app, and then it builds, the database builds and gets better and more accurate. So when I first got PlantNet, it had a hard time identifying anything, and it's gotten better and better and better. And I haven't really used iNaturalist a lot yet, but what a great thing to be able to just snap a picture of something and identify it in the wild. So wonderful, wonderful. And there will be a page of photographs, and then the next page or the page before it will have the things that are being described. So speaking of ephedra, okay, Thuja, horsetail. Do we have ephedra? So there are drawings here too, and it is kind of interesting. Let's take a look. So here's the drawing for Thuja arborvitae, and you can really see the detailed structure of those leaves, and then here is the photograph of it. So it's really good that you can, I'm trying to see, are we popping in? There we go. So it's really cool to look at a photograph where you see the whole plant, and then you go here and you're able to see a real finely drawn detail of the leaves. So that's wonderful. When you get to the back here, there are many, many, many sections. So using herbs, practical herbalism, we have herbs and the user. We have plants and human technology, herbs for natural living, for the skin, skin care, hair care and hygiene, aromatherapy, home care, fragrance, plant dyes. This was another section that made me buy this book. As to which plants make which colors. There's a table there, and then you see actual fiber dyed with these plants. Insect repellents, herbs for nutrition and health, properties of culinary herbs, diet, the different diets, macrobiotic, high fiber, ways to use herbs and spices, wild plants as food, herbs and bases, vinegars and preserves, drinks in the kitchen, herbs for healing, green medicine, respiratory system, so by system and disorder, and as most herbals have the section in the back. And then there's a section on gardening. So that's awesome as well. Okay. These. Everybody needs a copy of this. Everybody needs this book. Look at this sucker. My first copy I got maybe 20 years ago. A friend of mine was buying a new one and had one that was falling apart, and I got that one. When that one really started falling apart, I got a new one and handed that on, and then I got this next edition as well. So, practical A to Z reference to drug-free remedies using vitamins, minerals, herbs, and food supplements. This is by Phyllis Balch, CNC, and I just realized that I didn't give you the author of this. So the New Age Herbalist, and I'm finding it fascinating that there is no author on the front page. Richard Mabey, Mabey. Okay. The New Age Herbalist by Richard Mabey. The copyright on this one is 1988. So I will also tell you again, as I probably did last week, there is one of my favorite sites is called Alibris, Alibris, meaning from the library of. And it is a used book site. And I can find used books for so very cheap. You can find out-of-print stuff. It's an amazing resource. So some of the older things you can probably find on a site like Alibris. This you can find probably in any health food store, anywhere. It's very, very popular, very widespread. When I took this to my DO, my old DO, the doctor that I fired, because he was a jerk. He was great for a while, and then he started being a jerk. And I would talk about my sensitivities and how I can't take pharmaceuticals. I can't take pharmaceutical head meds. I don't do well with chemicals. I'm hypersensitive. I am a highly trademark TM, highly sensitive person. And if there's a reaction to be had to a pharmaceutical, I will have it. And he used to, put me on something and say, I'm putting you on the old lady dose. And even then I would have a reaction. But I would talk about herbs that I was using. And he would, we'd joke around a lot. And he would call it, oh, you're hippie shit, doing your hippie shit and everything. And it started to wear on me after a while. Because it's like, this is serious shit and it works for me. And I went into him one time and I can't remember... Devil's Claw. I had taken Devil's Claw for gallbladder. And I had gone to a natural food store, natural healing store, to look for something for my gallbladder. And this book they had it on a table, so you could refer to it. It was laying open. And I walked by this one shelf and Devil's Claw jumped out at me. And I have spent so many years going through these books and just paging through them that some of this stuff is in here. So I will notice that an herb will present itself to me and it's like I have no basis for that being true or not. And when I look it up, it is. So Devil's Claw really jumped out at me, and I took the bottle and I came over here and I looked up Devil's Claw, and it talked about gallbladder. So, in fact, let me Let me look this up here. See if I can give you straight. Okay. Devil's Claw relieves pain and reduces inflammation. That's a big one. Acts as a diuretic, sedative, and digestive stimulant, good for back pain, arthritis, rheumatism, diabetes, allergies, liver, gallbladder, and kidney disorders, arteriosclerosis, lumbago, gout, and menopausal symptoms. And so I thought, that, yes, this is jumping out. I'm going to take Devil's Claw. I started taking it, and the very next day, I was no longer feeling my gallbladder. I was always aware of it, you know. It has since gone. But the very next day, my gallbladder symptoms were not apparent. So I told him about it, and I remember going back after, several months, and he's like, "So what was that? I got somebody else that can't take meds like you, and what was that? It was a bear claw?" It's like, no, that's a freaking donut. This is Devil's Claw. So I took this book in and showed it to him. And I said, "Do you want to know where I get my hippie shit from? Do you want to know my reference for my hippie shit? Here it is." And he looked here and he looked on the back and said that, saw who was here. And CNC, I'm not sure what that means. Is that a nutritionist? Yes, nutritional counselor. So I'm sure it's a clinical nutritional counselor. DSC is a dietitian. I don't know what the S is. It's dietary, some clinician, I don't know. But he looked at who wrote this book and what the references were, and he's like, "That's a good book." And I said, "Yeah, I know. I don't, I'm not doing stupid shit." So this book, we have sections on nutrition, diet, and wellness, vitamins, minerals, air, water, amino acids, antioxidants. You can go through those sections and look all these things up. So antioxidants, there's a whole list of them. Amino acids, a whole list, and everything about every one of them. And then you go natural food supplements, and then we go into herbs, and there is this section listing all the herbs. And then the bulk of this book, which is fucking amazing. Oh, troubleshooting for disorders. Interesting. I never saw this section before. Holy shit. Introduction. So there's some reading. So these things to diagnose disorders. We've got bloating, we've got frequent blinking, bad breath, body aches, breast lumps, flushing, ear discharge, bulging eyes, incontinence, all kinds of stuff. And then it will talk about all of the disorders that could have that as an indicator. That's a really good list. Then we start with the conditions. So abscess. It will be an informative thing. What is an abscess? Where does it come from? What causes it? What's usually used to treat it? What's used pharmacologically? All kinds of things. And then down here, we have nutrients, because this is the prescription for nutritional healing. Give your body what it needs. Give it the nutrients it needs. It knows how to heal itself. This is the basis of natural healing. That our bodies, our natural state is health. And we introduce things into our bodies. We introduce circumstances and situations and toxins and everything else that takes us out of our natural state of health. So the premise is that if you provide the body with the nutrients it needs, it will revert to its natural state of health. So we have nutrients, and there will be very important. There will be a section for like very important and helpful. Sometimes the section says essential or very important, important, helpful. And you get everything, like for instance, this is acne. Nutrients, very important. Acidophilus, acne advance from Future Biotics. So they will, if it's a proprietary formula, they will say where to get it from. Chromium picolinate, essential fatty acids, potassium, vitamin A, vitamin B complex, and then with extras down here. Vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, zinc. Important is garlic. Helpful is chlorophyll, clear skin image from coenzyme A, hyperanisine from diamond, hyperanisine, L-cysteine, lecithin granules, blah, blah, blah. And then after that whole section of nutrients, then we have a whole section of herbs. and what herbs are used for the condition. And then we have a whole section of recommendations, which is everything that doesn't fit into any of the other categories. So, make sure that you're washing, change your pillowcase often, avoid all forms of sugar, eliminate processed foods, eat a high fiber diet. That too. So, all of these things. And then there's a section of considerations. Acne is a message that something may be wrong with your body chemistry, diet, or skincare routine, and what to do for severe acne, all that kind of stuff. And then we go through all of the disorders, adrenal disorders, um, and it's the bulk of this book. It's a long, long, long book. And then we have a section of rare disorders that are all kind of lumped together. Sexually transmitted diseases, snake bites, stress, tooth decay, ulcerative colitis, underweight, weight loss, warts, Wilson's disease, wrinkles, everything. Then we have remedies and therapies at the back. And there's a thing about aromatherapy, acupressure, acupuncture, aromatherapy, essential oils, ascorbic acid flush, Ayurveda, biofeedback, blood purification, chelation therapy, and again set out like the main section where you've got nutrients, what kind of therapy and what kind of nutrients and herbs go along with these sort of therapies. So amazing fucking book. This is a survival book for the apocalypse. This is a book that you ought to have. I will call this a must-have. Then we have, by the same author, the prescription for herbal healing. It's hefty as well. Now, I have to say that I have not gotten as much use out of this as I've gotten out of the other one. I have noticed conflicting information between the two, and maybe not outright conflicting, just kind of differing information. This is copyright 2012, so pretty much that one was 2010. We have Understanding Herbal Healing, the herbal prescriptions for common health problems. So again, you've got that section of, here's a section of the herbs, and it goes into them, each one in depth. There's the herb, the Latin name, the general description, the evidence of benefit, considerations for use. This, I've kind of found like this has a very Chinese lean to it. When it gets into the formulas, it really has that Chinese lean. So most herbal experts say that Chinese and Japanese herbal formulas are most effective when taken as teas. So they do acknowledge that this is Chinese. It is Eastern medicine formulation. There's an arrest wheezing decoction. There's astragalus decoction to construct the middle, augmented rambling powder, biota seed pill to nourish the heart, buplerum, buplerum, bupleum, buplerum, and cinnamon twig decoction, buplerum plus dragon bone and oyster shell decoction. So you can tell we're not in Kansas anymore with this book. So I haven't really gotten as much use out of this because my herbal understanding is much more Western. Although Chinese herbalism, hell yes, it's got it going on. Ephedra decoction. Okay, I wonder if it says something in there like it will suck every drop of moisture out of your mouth if you take a sip of it. 4 gentleman decoction. 5 ingredient powder with poria. 5 accumulation powder. Very, very Chinese. So we go through those, and then we go through, there's a section on allergies, anemia. So here we go through the conditions. Atherosclerosis, ADD, ADHD, Bell's palsy, all this kind of stuff. And again, it's going to be more of the Chinese. So I'm not going to go much deeper into this. Because it's all formulas. I deal more in simples and simpler blends. A simple, in herbal terms, is a single herb. So when you read books and it talks about, poultices and simples or brews and simples or something, a simple is just a single herb, usually as an infusion or a decoction. An infusion in case you don't know. The simplest way to ingest an herb is with an infusion. An infusion is a tea. So the way you do it is you boil water, you pour boiling water over the prescribed amount of dried herb, and you let it steep for anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour to overnight. It depends on what you're doing and what herb you're using. The leafy herbs, the tender herbs, are the ones that do best with an infusion. You don't want to boil them because the tender parts of the plant, which are the leaves, have volatile oils that can be destroyed by boiling. So that's why an infusion draws those things out, but as soon as you pour the water over it, it's no longer at the boil. It extracts, but it doesn't destroy. A decoction is more appropriate for spices, what's in the spice category, which is seeds, nuts, barks, roots, woody parts. Those are the things that need to be boiled to extract the benefit from them, and that's what you use a decoction for. So, for instance, if you've ever had moo tea or Indian tea, I used to get moo tea at the Survival Center too. Moo tea is tea as the way they do it in India, which we now know as chai. They boil spices like cloves and peppercorns and star anise and allspice and and cinnamon and all these woody seedy things. They're boiled, and then you use that hot liquid to make an infusion with black tea, and that's what chai is. So that's what a decoction is. It's for the harder parts of a plant. And then there are tinctures and extracts and things like that. So again, those two books, but I would say the Prescription for Nutritional Healing is the main one, unless you're really interested in Chinese herbalism, in which case go get that herbal book. But the other Western herbal books are definitely what I vibe to more. This one, Earth Medicine, Earth Food, I'm not even quite sure where I got it. I think I might have gotten it from my sister at one point, and she gave it back to me, or I don't really remember. But this is Native American based herbalism. So it's a great resource to have if you live in North America, because you're going to find out what's indigenous and what's around you. And there is a theory of herbal medicine that medicines that grow where you grow are more attuned to your system. It's like they talk about eating honey from your local area to help with allergies and pollen allergies, and like the bee pollen from bees from your area. It's all, this is the land that grows this body, so it's also the land that grows my medicines, and that makes a lot of sense to me. So I want to let's clear the decks here, because this dude is my favorite. So many books, so little time. And I just got a new book today, but it's got nothing to do with herbs, so I won't tell you about it now. Okay. That Chinese-oriented herbal, Michelle, is the same author as the Prescription for Nutritional Healing, Phyllis Balch, CNC. Okay? So same person wrote Prescription for Nutritional Healing and Prescription for Herbal Healing. Now, this book, the Herbal Handbook, changed things for me, because with all the other books that I showed you, the early ones that I got, it's just a big list of herbs. It's like all the herbs. So you can say, okay, I'm having this problem. I need this kind of property. And then you get this big list of herbs, and it's like, okay, do I use this one? Do I use that one? What do I do? You have to weed through and trial and error and all that. This is the second copy of this book that I got because somebody asked to borrow it and then wouldn't give it back to me. Special place in hell. Anyway, David Hoffman, he also has excellent videos on YouTube. You see all my little tags in this book. So, A User's Guide to Medical Herbalism. And what is so wonderful about this book is that and you notice it says here, not what is an herb, but what is a herb. What is a herb? He's British. So he talks about herbs, not herbs. So Anyway, approaches to herbalism. And then we have the actions. So all these sections, adaptogen, alterative, anthelmintic, antibilious. So he takes it by property. And then in each section, well, is a herb. Let me look here. Traditional knowledge, the physicians of Mythai, I don't know where that's Wales. Mythai, don't know how to pronounce it. Native American herbal traditions, the World Health Organization, pharmacology of active ingredients used within a philosophical system, Chinese healing, the medicine of harmony, the Tao of yin and yang within a holistic framework, herbs and holism. And then we come to the section of actions. And with each section, what is an adaptogen? How adaptogens work? And then we get like the big 2 or 3, like the 2 top herbs for each of these properties. So as an adaptogen, we have ginseng here, we have Siberian ginseng, and then adaptogens for different parts of the body. So for the circulatory system, the respiratory system, and he brings in others there. Then we've got alterative, and there's burdock, cleavers, and nettles, anthelmintic, anticatarrhal, antibilious, antidepressive. This is a term that is similar to in use to thymoleptic, and both tend to be synonymous with nervine. So when I was looking early on for herbal preparations, I was most interested in treating my anxiety and my depression. And so I went to nervines here, nervine tonic, St. John's wort vervain, and oats. And then, gosh, I'm trying to remember which section it was in. Let me look real quick here, because I went to this book, and this is the book that got me formulating my Mama Buzz tea. And cardiac tonic, bitters and astringents. But I love that, for instance, with a bitter, how they work. What is a bitter, how it works, examples, and then, the big 2 or 3, and then for different parts of the body. What I'm trying to find here. Oh, let's retrofit this. All right, that's what it is. So it was in nervine, and I call it a nervine. I've heard people call it nervine. I could be wrong, but I call it nervine. So we've got nervines, a plant remedy that has beneficial effect upon the nervous system in some way. So there are nervine tonics are the first ones. Then we go to nervine relaxants, which I was very, very interested in because I had been put on tranquilizers a few times and they just put me to sleep. And so I wanted something gentler, something that wasn't going to knock me out. So we have skullcap, pasque-flower, and lavender. And then we have nervine stimulants. Cola is what they have there. And I'm still looking for where the mugwort and damiana came in. So hold up. Then we have sedatives, valerian, lady's slipper, wild lettuce, stimulants, thymoleptic. He also, the nervous system. Okay. I'm going to have to go and reverse engineer here. Let me look up where I found damiana and mugwort. 139 and mugwort is 160. Okay. All right, herbs to sleep. So it was under body systems. And 139 was the other one. Okay. So, thanks for hanging with me, you guys. This has got to be boring as hell. Diuretics, horsetail, 139. Wasn't that where it said damiana? Maybe it's talking about it. Hold on. I looked at something wrong. Like I told you, my brain is fried today. So much talking. so much talking. 139. Damiana, where in the hell are you? Um, at any rate, here's mugwort. And we're looking in body systems here. And this is the section on the nervous system. So that's what I went for. And herbs for the nervous system, there's Bach flower remedies, there's stress, nervous system and illness, diet, anxiety and tension, depression, the treatment of depression. There it is, 159. I can't see either. So there's that. So here's Damiana. And then on the next page, we have mugwort. And I read about what these two can do. And I thought, those sound really good as an antidepressant. And Damiana stimulates the nervous system. It really wakes you up. It makes things kind of exciting. It can enhance the effect of other herbs and just make the effect a little more profound. It's an aphrodisiac, an excellent strengthening remedy for the nervous system, an ancient reputation as an aphrodisiac. While this may or may not be true, it's a definite tonic action on the central nervous and hormonal system. The alkaloids could have a testosterone-like action, so that could be part of the aphrodisiac. As a useful antidepressant, it's considered to be a specific in cases of anxiety and depression where there's a sexual factor. Can also be used to strengthen the male system. So I went with that. And then mugwort, used wherever a digestive stimulant is needed. It's a bitter, a mildly nerving action in aiding depression and easing tension. It may be used as an emmenagogue too. So pregnant people should not take mugwort. But I started off by just making a tea of mugwort and Damiana. And it was like, just kind of wake up. Don't drink it late at night. First of all, you'll pee. You'll be up peeing all night. Damiana is an excellent diuretic. It can be very bitter. The Damiana and the mugwort can have very bitter properties. So putting a little bit of mint in it and some honey in it really helps. But when I was first having rituals at my house, the first coven that I was in, people came to my house and I made this tea. Everybody had a cup. We're drinking tea, and all of a sudden, everybody's getting the giggles. Everybody's like giggling and hee. So it really does kind of wake up your nervous system. It definitely is an antidepressant. It's wonderful. That is not Mama Buzz. And actually, Mama Buzz technically should only be red raspberry leaf and nettles because those two are good for pregnant women. If it's Mama Buzz, I don't think I want to have mugwort in it, which pregnant people can't take. But with red raspberry leaf, nettles, mugwort, Damiana, and peppermint, Gonzo tea, absolutely delicious, great for your nervous system, complete range of vitamins and minerals, just raspberry leaf and nettles together for, menopausal women, fertile women, pregnant women, women in general. It's an excellent, excellent tea to drink on a daily basis. And what I would do is take a gallon of water, a big handful of each of the herbs in the pot, boiling water over it, slap the lid on, let it soak for at least an hour, probably more. Strain it out. It's a very dark tea. It's a really delicious tea. You can drink it hot, iced. You can water it down a little bit, put a little bit of honey in it. Oh, it's delicious and it's wonderful, and you can feel your body soaking up all the nutrients. So this guy, just boiling it down to the best 2 or 3 herbs for each property and each condition is so very helpful. Just so very helpful. He's really down to earth. He has a lot of excellent herbal information, so look up his videos for sure. I got this one from a Libris just within the last year. So it's a used book. I wanted more of his, and here we go, another book that has photographs. Yay, photographs. And he's got these in Latin name order, so you've got to look up. You either have to know the Latin name or you have to look it up to be able to find the herb if it's very different from the Latin name. But we've got a picture, we've got what it's specific for, and it's all boiled down. What I love about him is he really boils things down to the essence. So, like we've got Boldo here, and it talks about specific for bladder problems like stones or inflammations. And I've never heard of Boldo. It's also used when there's a visceral pain due to other problems in the liver or gallbladder. Am I surprised that this is something that I need to hear right now? No, I am not. Boldo has mild urinary demulcent and antiseptic properties, and so would be used in cystitis. Dried leaves, parts used, collection. So it talks about what to gather. Gather the evergreen leaves at any time. Dry them carefully in shade, not over 104 Fahrenheit. That is really valuable information because how you gather and store herbs has everything to do with the potency and the effectiveness of it. So that's great. The constituents, 2% volatile oils, the alkaloid boldine, glycosides, resins, and tannins. Actions, cholagogue, hepatic, diuretic, sedative, tonic. Preparation and dosage, infusion. Here's how to make a tincture. 1 to 2 milliliters of tincture 3 times a day, and then combinations, what to combine it with when you're treating a particular condition. Now, tinctures are good, again, for woody type herbs, but you can make tinctures out of tender and leafy herbs as well. Just look up the herb, and there should be, like in the Humbart Santillo book, it will talk about, like here's golden seal, preparation and dosage, the infusion. Steep the powder until cold, 1 to 2 teaspoons, 3 to 6 times daily. The decoction, so you can also do a decoction. Simmer 15 to 30 minutes, 1 to 2 teaspoons, 3 to 6 times daily. Tincture, 20 to 90 drops, 3 times daily. Fluid extract, powder. Indicated uses, internal, alcoholism, allergies, asthma, bad breath, all these conditions that it's good for. So, there are different ways to prepare herbs that have different properties or even the same properties. But if you can't do an infusion every time, if you've got a tincture of something, like I make a tincture of valerian that is great if I'm having a horrible insomnia time, just under the tongue, a dropper full, and out I go. Valerian will give you fabulous dreams, and it smells like feet. You know, you got to take the good with the bad. Okay, so again, just David Hoffman. I like the way he organizes information. I like the way he weeds out, so to speak, information to give you the essentials of it. Let's see what else he's got. Herbs in the body's defense system, practical herbalism. So he's got a section here on gathering and drying, when to gather. Some herbs you want to gather when there's dew on them. Some of them you want to wait until there's not any liquid on them, and how to dry them. How to dry leaves, how to dry roots. The preparation, how to make an infusion, how to make a decoction. Formulas for delicious herbal teas, how to make an alcoholic tincture. So a tincture, you usually want to get a really high proof, clear alcohol, although you can use something like brandy. The thing that's easily available to me is 110 vodka. They don't sell Everclear in the high proof in Ohio. If you can get it, it's a great thing to use. So here he's saying 120 grams or 4 ounces of finely chopped or ground dried herbs into a container that can be tightly closed. If fresh herbs are used, twice the amount should be taken. So you can make tinctures out of fresh herbs or dried herbs. I have heard that a general, like the simple way, the old country way, is if you're using dried herbs, fill the jar a quarter with herbs. If you're using fresh, fill it half. And then you top off the rest with alcohol. You want to shake it a little bit and tap it to make sure all the air bubbles come out. You want to fill it up so there's just a little bit of headroom at the top, not a lot of air exposure. Cover it really tightly. And then you shake it a couple of times a day for anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. It depends on whether it's a tender herb or a woody herb. The valerian I do for 6 weeks. He is recommending 60 proof vodka on the herbs and then close it. That's interesting because usually the general proof is 80. And most of the things I have read say you want to use a high proof, but this is just saying 60 proof. Cover it, Close the container. Keep the container in a warm place for 2 weeks. And this is tender herbs that he's using here. Then you strain and decant, wring out all the liquid. It says the residue makes excellent garden compost, and the fairies love it too. Pour the tincture into a dark bottle. Keep it stoppered. Tinctures are much stronger volume for volume than infusions or decoctions, so check the herbal section for dosage details. Then we have vinegar-based tincture, glycerin-based tincture, syrups, an oxymel. I don't know what an oxymel is. When you have to take a particularly powerful tasting herb such as garlic, squill, or balm of Gilead, the taste can best be covered by making an oxymel, which is made from 5 parts honey with 1 part vinegar. To make an oxymel base, put 500 milliliters or 1 pint of vinegar and 2.5 pounds of honey into a pot and boil until the liquid has the consistency of syrup. This is an established herbalist recipe for preparation of oxymel of garlic. 2 pints of vinegar into a vessel. Boil in it a 1/4 ounce of caraway seeds and the same quantity of fennel. Add 1.5 ounces of fresh garlic root sliced, then press out the liquid and add 300 grams or 10 ounces of honey. Boil it until it has the consistency of syrup. Sliced, then press out the liquid. So I'm confused there whether if you're slicing garlic cloves. I mean, it says garlic root, which the roots, it's not a root, it's a bulb. So I'm assuming he's got to be talking about the bulbs there, because there ain't garlic roots. There's little tiny hairy ones, but all right, let me see if there's another one. Nope, that's the only oxymel he talks about. So that bears some more research. There's how to fill a capsule, how to make lozenges. He's got a formula and a recipe here for cooking lozenges. I've never made lozenges or capsules. External remedies, water therapy, douches, surface therapy, poultices, all that kind of stuff. Suppositories. And then he goes into the chemistry of herbs. So if you want to dive deeper, there you go. Then there's a section just listing the actions. Herbs for infections and infestations. Therapeutic index, herbal remedies in the home, and then we go into the herbal itself. So again, he's just one of my favorites. I like his language. I like the way he describes things. And his videos are really good too. So what do you think, you guys? I mean, that was like pretty slapdash. How long have I been on here? Just under an hour. And I think I'm going to let it go at an hour. Does anybody have all 2 of you have any questions? Let me look. Oh, there's 3 of you watching. Somebody's lurking. Who's lurking? Pop in and say something, number 3. Whoever you are, number 3. At any rate, that's the basis of my herbal library. Like I said, I'm probably getting rid of the Susan Weed books, but you don't need that much. You know, I'm a squirrel and I'm a collector, and so I tend to squirrel away books and keep buying them when I already have all that I will ever need. But that's the way I am, you know. So anyhow, here's something I will tell you. I have talked about this in some other videos, especially during the COVID pandemic. Thyme tea is something that my sister started drinking on a daily basis for Epstein-Barr and chronic fatigue. And I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia when I was 16, 17, way back in the late 70s, when they called it fibrositis, and no other doctors. This doctor was an oddball because he knew about it. Thanks, Michelle. I'm glad you're enjoying them. But she wasn't diagnosed until like just the last several years, and suffered a long time before going and getting diagnosed. So she's been drinking this thyme tea, and she was talking about how much it helped her, that she felt after drinking it every day for a month, she was really feeling the benefit from the fatigue. So when I got sick at the beginning of March, And I think I posted a video on that, I don't remember, on just therapies and the things I do when I get sick. Because this was right when pandemic was arriving on our shores. And it's like, here's what I do when I'm getting sick. So I'll share that with you now. Um, if you've got a fever, do some sweating therapy. Ginger root is and the word just flew out of my head, the thing that makes you sweat. Diaphoretic. That's it. It's a diaphoretic. It's also a carminative, which expels gas. So what I used to do back in the 80s when I was first starting to dive into herbalism, what I would do if I started getting sick was get into my tub. I had a clawfoot tub and I caulked over the overflow valve so I could fill it up to my chin. And I would get in a hot tub. I would make strong ass ginger tea. Boy, and with ginger, it's a root, so you want to make a decoction. Grate a whole shit ton of it into some water and boil it for like 5 minutes. Strain it, put some honey in it. I would get in the tub and drink that hot, sitting in hot water until I was pouring in sweat. I remember one night, the first time I did this, I was getting hit this night. It was like boom. And I thought, oh shit, I am really sick. I could feel it in my chest. I could feel it in my head, taste it, smell it. It was awful. No doubt in my mind, I'm getting sick big bad. Got in the tub and did this. I got up the next morning and I thought I was going crazy because I had no symptoms whatsoever. I felt like I wasn't ever even getting sick. So, fever is trying to do a job in your body. And I have heard that for every degree of fever, your white blood cells double their speed so they can get the job done. They can fight whatever the invader is. So the fever is trying to do a job. You want to help it do its job. So getting in a hot tub until you want to keep cold water nearby. If you get dizzy, you slap a cold washcloth on the back of your neck. You don't want to make yourself dizzy. You don't want to pass out. If you've got high blood pressure, don't do it. So again, all kinds of disclaimers. Talk to your doctor. But sweating therapy, you get out of the tub, put a nightgown on, put cotton on, get under the sheets and just fucking sweat. Like for half an hour, just sweat. And you either won't get sick or it will be very much milder. But you've helped the fever do its job. Another thing I do is up my vitamin C. I take 2,000 milligrams a day. I will up it to 4 or 5 or even more per day. I know that if I take a whole bunch of vitamin C right at the outset of getting sick, if I get diarrhea instantly, I will not get sick. It's like it blasts it out of my system, but it's also letting you know that's when you've taken too much vitamin C as you have diarrhea. Let's see, what else? Garlic. Eating fresh raw garlic, particularly Russian stiff-neck garlic. It's kind of red. The paper on it is red. There's only one stem and one ring of cloves and hotter than fucking bejesus. And it's great. It will make you fart your ass off and it will make you healthy again. Garlic oil capsules and oregano oil capsules twice daily, both of those. Now, thyme tea, when I first started getting sick and it really went to my chest in March, I remembered this thyme tea. And I went and made some just for the time that I had in my kitchen. And then I went and bought some better stuff from the co-op. But it is an antiviral, an antifungal, an antiseptic. Thymus vulgaris is the Latin name. It is an expectorant, and it will also calm your cough. So it's an antispasmodic. And when I started getting sick with this thing I had in March, I couldn't stop coughing. If I started coughing, I wouldn't be able to stop myself. So I just decided for the first week, I'm just not fucking coughing. I'm just not going to cough. That's all there is to it. But by the next week, I had stuff in my chest. And I was coughing and things were rattling and I was using up all my energy to cough this stuff out. And it was gross. So I made the thyme tea. Within like 15 minutes to a half an hour of drinking this tea, everything loosened up and came out. And what I have read about it is it makes the cilia in your lungs move more. It makes them more motile, which means that they wave and they move the mucus up and out of your lungs. So the rest of the time I was really sick with that. Every day I was drinking this thyme tea. If I got to the point of the day where my chest was feeling tight, I would drink the tea. Within half an hour, I was clearing all kinds of stuff out. So considering that I have heard with COVID They're telling you to drink hot fluids, like constantly drink hot fluids, that it somehow moves it down into your digestive system rather than going into your lungs. But even if it does go into your lungs, time T is going to be an expectorant. And what they're saying with COVID is it's a dry cough. It's not a productive cough, but it will calm down the coughing spasms. And also got some thyme oil. And here's another home remedy that I use. I get this oil called Olbas, Olbas. It's made in Sweden or Norway or Finland. I can't remember which one. It's made up there, up north. And I have a special chalice that I use for this. Boil water, pour it in the chalice, put a couple of drops of that oil and inhale the vapors. You can do it in your bathtub, you can do it in your sink as well, but I find just putting it in a chalice where I can put my hands over the cup and inhale it through my nose, inhale it through my mouth. It's wonderful. So I started using the thyme oil for that as well. And considering its antiseptic and all these properties, when you're taking it as an infusion, it's going into your system. So it's systemically going to work on what's bugging you. But if you also inhale it, then it can topically work as well. And they're saying that COVID does not survive the conditions that it hates are heat and humidity. So if you are inhaling hot vapors with these oils in it or with thyme oil in it, I think that's going to take you a long way to not getting super sick with this or with other respiratory things. Now, the best case scenario, of course, is please don't get this virus. Please don't get sick. You guys, please don't. No. I know that you all are smart and are washing your hands and are wearing masks and being smart because you're witches, So, ginger anti-inflammatory. I'm not sure. Let's find out. Let's go to Hoffman and look up zingiber, because I do know the Latin name of that. Systems. All right, plant viscum zingiber. Oop, wait a minute. There we go. Ginger, zingiber officinale. Ginger may be used as a stimulant of the peripheral circulation in cases of bad circulation, chilblains, and cramp. So yeah, I mean, it makes you sweat. It gets things moving. In feverish conditions, ginger acts as a useful diaphoretic. Thank you for the validation there. Promoting perspiration. As a carminative, it promotes gastric secretion and is used in dyspepsia, flatulence, and colic. As a gargle, it may be effective in the relief of sore throats. Externally, it is the base of many fibrositis and muscle sprain treatments. So that does indicate probably, all right, action: stimulant, carminative, rubefacient, which means it increases circulation so you get rosy, your skin gets pink, makes you turn red. Diaphoretic, aromatic, emmenagogue, which means it'll bring on menses, and a sialagogue. I think sialagogue has to do with saliva, and it talked about promotes gastric secretion. So yes, it makes you makes your mouth water and makes saliva and the juices flow in all ways. So I'm not seeing it here as actually an anti-inflammatory, but that it is useful in fibrositis and muscle sprains. And I will tell you too, if you're getting sick and you've got that really super itchy throat where it's just burning, hot ginger tea is so good because it like scratches it. It stings. It's hot. So it really stings your throat, but it's not hot like pepper, like cayenne. That kind of heat sticks with you. It's got oils and it'll stay in your mouth and the burn keeps going. You drink ginger tea, it's sort of more akin to horseradish where there's a big punch and then it fades. So not quite like horseradish where it punches you in the nose, but it will certainly scratch your throat. It scratches that itch and calms down that kind of itching and burning. So I think those are I think those are all the main things that I do when I'm getting sick. And boy, the last virus that I had, it wasn't COVID. I really don't think it was, because I didn't have a high fever. It only ever got to like 99.9, and it was a productive cough. And it didn't feel like something I've never had before. It felt like a bad respiratory virus. It felt familiar. So I think it was a kind of flu. Um, but it was a bad one. It was really a bad one. And all of these things, I know if I hadn't done these things, I think I would have ended up with pneumonia. And I have many acquaintances and friends that had pneumonia this past season from a really bad respiratory virus. So even though it lasted for 4 weeks with me and it kicked my ass, I was way less sick than I could have been, and I know it. So anyhow, um, I think that might be all I have to say about that for the time being. Oh, I will tell you some of the tinctures that I have that I've done myself. I've made devil's claw tincture. I have made licorice tincture, licorice root. Um, I have made passion flower. I have made juniper berry. Be careful with juniper because some plants that are called juniper are decorative plants and they're not actual juniper. So juniper berries need to come from true juniper and look up and find out what the difference is there. Same thing with cinnamon. If you hear people talking about, oh, cinnamon is good for this and good for that and good for the other thing, they're talking about true cinnamon, Ceylon cinnamon. They're not talking about cassia cinnamon. So there's two different kinds of cinnamon. And true cinnamon or Ceylon cinnamon is not what you find in the grocery stores in this country. So again, be aware. And I saw so many things going around Facebook a few years ago about, oh, cinnamon has all these health benefits and people go into the grocery store to buy cinnamon. It's like, hold up, people, that is not what that is. So when you see pop culture stuff go across about herbalism and, it's very trendy these days, do your research. So I hope these books will help you. Find some good resources for doing that research. And I am so fortunate that after I fired my shitty DO, um, I had I heard this guy's name like 3 times in the space of a week or so. And it's like, okay, I need to call this guy. And somebody told me about him. I was talking to another friend and said, somebody told me about this doctor name. And then, that's my doctor. He's great. So I kept hearing about him. He's a DO as well. His mother is a naturopath. Her formulating pharmacy is right next door to his practice in the same building, and their shop is across the street. So if they don't have, herbal preparations, they can formulate it for you. And he has this knowledge as well. Just an incredible man. It is the best of all worlds, I think. A DO has standard medical training and a holistic landscape for it. They look at the body as a holistic system, and they know how the nervous system works. And this guy's a mechanic. I go to him for certain things and he just does magical things and fixes shit. He's amazing. And then he's got the herbal and the nutritional and the vitamin information on top of that, and he puts them all together, and he has literally changed my life. I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life in the recliner because it had gotten so, 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 so bad. And then I went to this guy. He immediately tested my adrenals, which my fired doctor refused to do. And they had flatlined. I had been complaining about my adrenal glands to my other doctor for at least 5 years, going and literally sobbing in his office. I am so tired. I can't hold my head up. I think it's my adrenals. I've had it. Well, yeah, you probably got that going on, and he wouldn't do anything about it. So I went to this guy. The first thing he did was saliva test and diagnosed my adrenal condition. He's like, most people's adrenals start up here in the morning, or your cortisol levels, and then they go like this towards evening. Mine was like this. It was practically flatlined. He started me on hydrocortisone therapy. That day, the first day I took that medicine, I slept like a dog that night, because with adrenal conditions, it's tired and wired. You're tired all the time and you can't sleep. So I slept like a dog. And then I was like up, and it's like, my God, this is what it feels like to be normal. This is what living feels like. So he literally changed my life. If you can find a DO, if you can find a naturopath, it's always the best to consult with the experts. But I think the resources I've given you will give you a good foundation, whichever one you choose, into how to find your way through these. That prescription for nutritional healing is key. And, medicine is all around us in nature. Nature is our medicine. and the more connected you can be to it. And then, last week I showed you Scott Cunningham's magical herbal books. So it's very interesting to look at a medicinal herbal and side by side with the magical one because they go like this. There was a time when those two were not separate. So very interesting to have those two side by side, and to when you're using medicinal herbs, to approach it from a magical level, and to talk to the plant, get to know the plant, feel the plant, you know, hold it to you and ask for its help and ask if it's for you and listen. So, you can get very, very magical with medicinal um, herbs, and you can get very medicinal with magical herbs, I guess. I don't know how many ways we can twist that around. Yes, ginger for upset stomach is also really good. Uh, so, anyway, I think I'm done finally, and we're at an hour and 15. I'm glad that I was able to hold up my end because I did promise you I'd be back. So, the plan is live stream at 8:30 on Wednesdays, 8:30 Eastern time, whether it's daylight or standard. Okay? So, don't know what I'll pull out next time. I've got all kinds of section. I've got my Buddhist section. I've got my section that's all about like dreams and things like that, dreams and meditation and all that. I've got a full section of books on the breath and breathing and singing. And so I'll find a section. I could show you like my favorite novels, the novels that changed my life. I could do any of those things. Let me know what you'd like to see. And if you feel like throwing me a couple of bucks down below, click the donate button. I'd really appreciate it. I do not make a living off of what I'm doing right now, and I need to. So if you can do that, it's really good. I appreciate it. If you can't do that, it's all good. I'm just so glad you're here. I'm so glad to have somebody to talk to. So take care, everybody. Um, I will see you on Friday with another Oracle unboxing, and the following Monday for a Tarot unboxing, and next Wednesday for another visit with my library. Until then, stay safe, wash your hands, wear your masks, keep your distance, and we'll connect back here next week. I'll see you. This is the Zen Witch. Blessed be.